You stare at your reflection, mascara smudged, eyes tired. That smile you wear, it doesn't even reach your eyes anymore. You whisper, "I should be happy." You have a job, a home, maybe even someone who loves you. But deep down, you're empty. You feel it, don't you? That quiet ache that shows up even on the good days. That whisper in the back of your mind. Why does everything still feel wrong? You're not alone. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. So many women feel this way. Exhausted, disconnected, carrying lives that look full but feel hollow. And no one really talks about it. The burden of having it all. You were told you could have everything. The career, the relationship, the perfect body, the peace of mind. But no one told you that trying to be everything for everyone would leave nothing for you. You wake up every day already behind. Behind on work, behind on expectations, behind on your own healing. It's not depression, you tell yourself. It's just life. But here's the truth. You've been performing happiness for so long, you've forgotten what real contentment even feels like. You smile so people don't ask questions. You say, "I'm fine," because it's easier than explaining the storm inside. And deep down, you've started to wonder, maybe this is just what womanhood is. Maybe peace isn't for me. The invisible pressure. From the moment you could walk, you were taught to shrink yourself to fit inside expectations. Be kind. Be beautiful. Be humble. Be strong, but not too strong. Be confident, but not too loud. Be everything, just not too much. That's conditioning. Psychologists call it internalized gender scripts, unwritten rules you never agreed to, but somehow they became the air you breathe. So you learn to measure your worth by how well you please others. You became the caretaker, the peacekeeper, the fixer. Even when your heart was breaking, you smiled, because women like you don't fall apart, they hold it all together. But tell me, who holds you? The weight of emotional labor. You remember when you started noticing everything. The way your mother sighed when no one helped her. The way your father looked away when things got uncomfortable. The way everyone expected you to know what to do. That's how parentification begins. When a child becomes the emotional adult before she's ready, you learn to fix people's moods before you could even name your own. You learned that love meant service, that your value depended on how well you could hold someone else's chaos. And now, as a woman, you still do it. At work, in relationships, with friends. You carry everyone's emotions until you can't feel your own anymore. That's not weakness. That's a trauma response. It's the aftermath of growing up in an emotional drought, where your needs always came second. The silent war inside. You're tired, but you keep going. You're hurting, but you keep smiling. You're screaming on the inside, but your voice comes out calm. That's hypervigilance. Your nervous system stuck in survival mode. It's what happens when you've spent too long walking on emotional eggshells. You start predicting problems before they happen. You read between the lines, scanning every tone, every look, every silence. You don't relax because relaxing never felt safe. And people call you too sensitive. But really, you've just spent years learning how to protect yourself in a world that keeps asking you to break quietly. The lost self. Somewhere along the way, you disappeared. You became the helper, the achiever, the good girl. You became the version of yourself that made everyone else comfortable. But what about you? What do you want? What would make you happy? You don't even know anymore, do you? Because your identity was built around pleasing, performing, surviving. And here's the thing. When you spend years disconnecting from your own needs, you start mistaking emptiness for peace. That's emotional neglect, not always from others, but from yourself. You've learned to numb what hurts instead of understanding it. You've learned to chase busy because stillness feels unbearable. Because in the quiet, you can finally hear the truth. You're lonely. Not because you're unloved, but because you've never truly felt seen. The inner child's cry. There's a little girl inside you, still waiting for permission to rest, still waiting for someone to say, you don't have to be perfect to be loved. That's your inner child, the one who never got to be soft or silly or messy. She grew up too soon, and now she's trapped inside a woman who doesn't know how to need. You silence her with work, with achievements, with scrolling, with pretending. But late at night, when everything goes quiet, you hear her again, that small voice that says, I'm tired of being strong. The truth no one tells you. Here's what no one tells you about women's unhappiness. It's not about failure. It's about disconnection from your body, from your needs, from your joy. You were never taught to listen to yourself. You were taught to perform happiness instead of feel it, to take care of others instead of yourself. So you stopped asking, "What do I need?" You started asking, "What do they want from me?" And little by little, you lost the ability to be whole. That's not your fault. It's the side effect of a world that rewards women for self-abandonment and calls it love. The awakening. But here's the beautiful part. The moment you realize this, you start to wake up. You start noticing how often you betray your own peace just to keep others comfortable. You start saying no and feeling your heart race, but you say it anyway. You start honoring your boundaries, and for the first time, you feel something that almost scares you. Freedom. That's shadow work. Not becoming someone new, but remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. It's uncomfortable, it's messy, but it's the path home to yourself, because healing isn't about becoming softer, it's about becoming real. So, why are women always unhappy? Because for too long, they've been told to silence the parts of themselves that make them human. The anger, the grief, the desire, the need for rest. They've been told that strength means smiling through pain, that love means sacrifice, that happiness means perfection. But maybe true happiness isn't a smile. Maybe it's a sigh of relief. Maybe it's waking up one day and saying, "I don't have to be everything anymore." You're not broken. You're just tired of pretending. And that's the first sign of healing, because the moment you stop performing and start listening, you begin to feel again, to live again, to be again. You deserve peace, not later, not when everything's perfect. Now, if this spoke to you, you're not alone. You never were. Stay, heal, and find your way back to yourself. And if you want to understand the psychology of your soul a little deeper, subscribe. There's a lot more truth waiting to be uncovered.